Next, Councillor Bundy, a verbal report about the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to share a few highlights from my first FCM experience, and it was certainly a pleasure, and I definitely learned a lot. As you know, it was a 4-day conference, and I found that the mayor and the council members from Niagara Falls were very welcoming, and it was a pleasure to be there. I will admit that the networking factor is probably one of the most beneficial aspects of the entire conference. It was very interesting to see how other municipalities work and elect their members and work together to accomplish things. A few different concepts that came about were how they elect their deputy mayor and how they have a 2-year term. For deputy mayor, they rotate it, so it's not a 4-year term for the deputy mayor, so I thought that was kind of unique, and maybe one day we want to have that conversation here. Mulcair spoke, and Trudeau spoke, and Elizabeth May, the leader of the Green Party, and they were all very great speakers. And as you know, FCM is the national voice of municipal government. So with a federal, this is my take on it anyways, but with a federal government, many of the ministers and their workshops were very federal leaning. So I kept a critical eye and ear on what they had to say, and I think that's important too. I did go and attend a workshop on women in politics, and actually during my whole weekend at FCM, I was looking around, and there were a lot of women there, not nearly close to the 50%, but there really weren't a lot of young women there. So I think that I think the province has just made a bunch of gains. They're now at 35.5% of women in the Ontario legislature, which is awesome. But as you can see, Essex Council is only 15% women. So I think that we need to start having the conversations in our own municipality about encouraging more women to run, because the best way to get women elected is to get them to run. So we need to give them the confidence to run. A couple of interesting motions came up. As you know, municipalities can lobby FCM to pass resolutions that have a federal or Canada-wide impact. And something that we've been working on in Essex really hit home, and I want to make sure that I can share it with this council here, and especially with our administration who couldn't attend. FCM passed an emergency resolution on exotic pets. It was the regulation of exotic animals of zoos and aquariums. And it was pretty neat because it was similar to what we did here in Essex. So it's clear to me that other municipalities have a concern about exotic pets, and this motion passed with overwhelming support. I believe close to 85 or 90% support. And in the majority of the people there agreed that the keeping of exotic pets is serious to public safety, public health, animal welfare, and environmental issues. So I just thought that was really fitting, because we did have our own exotic pet story. After this conference, I became more assured, and I guess I'm more assertive, that issues that affect our residents in terms of services or lack of services are our municipal responsibility to advocate for. I've been told, and I've heard at this council, that some issues are federal or provincial and they're not our mandate. But after hearing the speakers at FCM and after meeting with the other council members, I've learned that we have power in numbers, and we as municipalities can band together and create change. One thing I would really like to see is the regulation on exotic pets came from the Atlantic Mayors Congress, and it would be really nice if we could start working on regional relationships down here. You know, if we had an issue with exotic pets, it would be great if Essex County mayors can work together on these issues. And so I'm hoping that in the next term of council we will see more things along that line. I did learn about other issues that affect other municipalities in different parts of Canada, which is pretty cool. I think that's why we go. And in different municipalities face different issues, but many of us face the same issues too. So I just want to thank the residents and in council for your support on allowing me to attend this conference. And I'd love to attend again. I had a blast, and it's very worthwhile. I do have, and I want to publicly state this, I do have one concern with our conference policy that I wasn't able to speak to before because I was stopped. I believe that on paper, the travel advance in our conference policy is removed. And being a single mother, I think that we need to have discussions when single moms, if we want them to be elected and we want them to be, supporters of our community, we need to allow that travel advance to be put back in place. so that our conference policy is not an entitlist policy, so that the council member that sits here and works full-time and makes 80 grand a year, in the council woman that makes 30 grand a year has the same opportunity to go to conferences. And right now, that's not in writing, and that's kind of scary, because I think that as being an elected official, we should all have equal access to conferences. So that's my little blurb, and I know that Councillor Baker and Deputy Mayor Meloche and our Mayor, Ron McDermott, also went to FCM, and they all have their own different stories, and it was a great bonding time to be there with you as well, so thank you, and that's it.
Thanks, Sherry, very much. Councilor Vokes.
That conference cost thousands and thousands of dollars. That was it?
That was something.
What a shame.
You know, Councilor Vokes, don't start. You can say what you say. I have the floor, please. Please, I have the floor, sir. Okay. But can I not say something without him jumping on me? No, I'm not going to now. Thank you very much for the permission, though. Need a receipt of the report. Councilor Baker, Councilor Bowman, any questions to the... All in favor of the motion? Motion carried. Once again, thanks a lot, Sherry. Big Martin, Cheryl. Yep.
Through your worship, the next item under new business is Essex Community Services Letter of Support. I had neglected to mention this at the beginning of the meeting. They're requesting support because they want to begin conversations with both Essex Retirees and the Harrow Seniors Club, and hopefully with the help from the United Way, they'll be able to introduce 2 new programs in the municipality of Essex and surrounding areas. And they would just ask that council support their new initiatives.
Supported by Councilor Vokes and Councilor Bowman. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, all in favor of the motion. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Through your worship, the next item under new business is your request for a discussion on community improvement plan grant applications.
That was mine?
Yes.
Okay. If you look at the agendas tonight and are around the office a fair amount of time, and if you aren't, go in the planning department, see the work that they have. I think we've given permission to the planning department with regards to the CIPs that when someone, well, in fact, before they put in an application, I know they go out and look at the people's building, like 2 Waves. They were out there a couple weeks ago, looking. We want to do this with a building. Well, they'd say, well, you can't do that, but you can do this. And they were making recommendations. So this goes back, I'll say 2 or 3 weeks. All of a sudden, they make a report to us. We've given them the okay to go ahead and allow these people, if they meet the criteria, to do all of this stuff. And then they say, oh, well, you got to make a 2 or 3 page report to council with a recommendation that we allow this. Why do we make these people work so hard? Can we not put something out there that says, if they make the criteria, fill the application out, and everything's great, why not let them start tomorrow? Why does it have to come here? Especially now that we have 1 meeting next month and 1 meeting the following month. This is construction time right now, not next month or 3 months from now. These people, yep, you're okay. Just like tonight, 2 Ways. You could start this 2 weeks ago. They could have done it. Instead of waiting now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I think there's not much that we have to change, but I know Heather could tell me because I've talked to her. She could tell us. It's just a little couple of words in here that keeps it from coming. All of this paperwork all comes to here, and everybody's got to listen to somebody that's requesting this money that's already been okayed by that department. I just think we could eliminate some of the paperwork, some of the work here for all of our staff, all of us council members. So I'd just like to ask Heather for a couple comments.
Thank you, Your Worship. The community improvement plans and the policies that reflect CIPs do permit council to delegate the approval authority to anyone, a body, staff member, it's up to council to make that call. So the ability is there. It could be done by council resolution. We certainly, right now, bring every single application to council once it's complete. It would save time. I believe Jeff has actually mentioned it in the meetings that he's had, certainly with the members of the public as well as with council, when the document was being prepared. I think now that council has an idea of what is involved in an application and whether they would like to retain the approval authority or whether they'd like to do a trial of the delegation, it's certainly up to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to mention that Councillor Vokes, Councillor Baker, they've all said in the past how people say we make them jump through hoops all the time. Make it simple for these people to whether they're building something or going to repair something. That I think we need to do that, because of what they've said in the past. I have Councillor Baker and then Councillor Vokes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Through your worship, I kind of agree with your comments. I think we have given administration, we have approved the CIP program. There are all kinds of criteria in there. I think we just need maybe to receive a report so we know what's happening in our community. That's the biggest thing that we have. Much like we get a management report, if it could be on the agenda so we know, and then if we need further information, because there are residents that say, hey, what's happening? I agree. This way we can streamline, because the more we get uptake, the more we are going to get everybody to do this. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I think maybe we could move this to somewhat of a management report that says what's coming up next and what stage it's in, and the approval, because they have to meet the criteria anyways, and administration really is the experts on this. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I think hopefully we can accelerate it. Thanks.
Councillor Vokes and Councillor Bowman, no, Deputy Mayor Malash, and then Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Worship. I agree. Even if there's questions asked, like we're a phone call away, right? Like if a resident was asked a question, even writing a smaller report, if a question is asked like so many times, how many times do we call Heather, Jeff, Chris, whoever it may be, and get some direction from them? So same with this. I agree with you. Like we got to streamline it, and it's no different than when Lynn or Robin or somebody, Cheryl, may send us out a request looking for something as it relates to a liquor license or a noise bylaw or something, exemption from it. We simply, through Blackberries or whatever, send something back and say, yeah, I'm okay with it. Go ahead. And we can do the same with this. It doesn't have to be as downloading as it is, because we know the protocol. I agree with that. And your desk is buried. I agree.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Malash and then Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship, to Heather. I agree with what Councillor Baker was saying as well, that if we had a report that just summarized everything and just add to that list, I'd like that anyway, because it's hard to remember back to what we've already approved. It'd be nice to see some kind of summary, maybe which center, what the project is, who the principals are, dollar amount involved, and a little description of what they're doing, and then either complete or in process or pending, so that we know what stage it's at. But something simple as that, and I'd be fine with having you go ahead and approve these. We know that there's a budget for it, and we know that you're not going to go over the budget, so.
Yes, Heather?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to point out as well, if there was ever anything that seemed controversial or if anyone had concerns, you could certainly make a request that it be brought forward to council. That could happen at any time.
Thank you. Councillor Bowman?
I think it's pretty well been discussed, but again, I'm in support of if it meets criteria, then let it move forward. But as it's been pointed out, it's nice to have that feedback to council to know what's going on.
And I would just add, I didn't want to see us hear nothing about it. I wasn't looking for that. I agree with what you're saying. Maybe it could be a quarterly report or, something minor. Never mind these 2- and 3-page things that might not get looked at for a month, coming up. So, I don't know. I think they got the whim of what we want to do, so I think they can improve on our process, and they will. and keep us all in the loop. Thank you. Okay, so we need a motion to give them the authority to make this a, Marley,
I'd make that motion.
What is that motion?
and supported by Councilor Bundy. You got it right, Cheryl? Yep, she's got it. See?
Give them the authority.
Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Notices of motion. Councilor Bundy, New Building Canada Fund.
Thank you. At the last council meeting, I put forward a motion, and just so Councillor Vokes knows where this motion came from FCM, Councillor Vokes, so, you know, yeah, just so you know.
Big deal.
I learned that communication right now seems to be a challenge between our federal government and municipalities in terms of funding, and with the new Building Canada plan, how much funding municipalities are getting, and it really makes it difficult for us to plan our budgets. And I believe FCM was passing this along to municipalities, but I thought, hey, we're the town of Essex and we're always ahead of the game, so why don't we get working on it right now? So you've seen the motion, it's pretty lengthy, it's on the council agenda. I'm just hoping that council can support this, and hopefully we can lobby our federal government to give us more money. As you know, municipalities have about 60% of the infrastructure and services that we provide to residents, and for every tax dollar, we only get 8 cents. So we're really expected to do a lot more with less, and it seems like throughout Canada that the infrastructure is aging, and we need help with this. You know, there's many services that we talked about. If we talked about regional transit, you know, that is not going to be a municipal responsibility. We need the province and the feds to come and help us here. So I just have this motion, and Donna, this one's for you. So we'll do what we can, right? We'll get on the desk and kick and scream. So I'll just read the first 2 paragraphs. Whereas the new Building Canada Fund is the longest and largest federal infrastructure program in Canadian history, aimed at meeting the needs of cities and communities over the next decade, and gives Canadians the best value for money. Whereas municipalities own over 60% of Canada's roads, water systems, public transit, and other core infrastructure. But to date, we have received no clear indication from our federal government that, with what we're getting. So that's my motion, that's the gist of it, and I'm just looking for a seconder and to have a discussion. Thank you.
Councilor Baker supports.
Yeah, I just make a small
Question?
additional amendment to that, if you may, just here. Under the whereases, and maybe could be the last whereas, we should maybe add in whereas the Town of Essex is working with AMO, because AMO is a very strong movement on this. If you go on their website, they have also resolution and the report that they've been working with the federal government on this. So we should add whereas we're working with AMO as well through this, if we could add that to it, because they are also our body that speaks to this. So if we would add that, I would definitely support that.
Okay, anything to the motion? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Councilor Bundy, Canada Post.
Thank you. My computer is locked, so I don't have my motion in front of me with Canada Post, but I kind of know the gist of it. Maybe perhaps Cheryl could, yes, please.
The notice of motion regarding Canada Post is that the town of Essex invite a representative from Canada Post to meet with council and administration in a public and transparent manner to begin preliminary discussions about changes to postal services, including placement of community mailboxes.
Second by Councilor Vokes. Councilor Baker.
Can I speak to the motion, or?
Sure. Yes, you can.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
who's up?
Doesn't matter.
I had a comment.
Going.
Do you want to speak to the motion? I mean,
You
I got
can
some-
Speak anyways.
I got some further news today.
Okay, I would have read the motion, and then I would have read my comments as to the reason why. And my first comment would have said, Councillor Vokes, this motion is also from FCM. So I as well did meet with Andy Patterson from FCM, and he was there. He was there as a vendor at FCM there at the trade show. But I thought it would be appropriate to bring this idea or this resolution back to council as a whole, as a best practice, to get all of council members to sanction a letter, rather than me reaching out and talking to Andy. As you know, that our council did invite members from Canada Post, their local union, to speak to us with concerns. And I hope that council will still, even though we did get correspondence from Andy, I hope that council will still support a council-sanctioned letter to Canada Post to invite them to come talk to us. Because, as you know, they do have a 5-point strategy, but it is not clear-cut. One size does not fit all. There may be other questions that we would like to ask them. There may be other questions that our residents would like to ask them. I have some other questions. Why do we have higher postal rates? You know, is Canada Post a public service that is supposed to be accessible for all Canadians? And I'm also on the Accessibility Committee, so I feel that it's fitting for me to bring this up. The Accessibility Committee received a notice from the Corporation of the Town of LaSalle from their Accessibility Committee. And their Accessibility Committee did a tour of existing community mailboxes in LaSalle and revealed that approaches to some were not accessible to persons with disabilities. So I would like to see, you know, what the answer, when Canada Post comes to us, what answer do they have for people that have a disability when they're talking about community mailboxes? I also talked to other council members throughout Canada about Canada Post and how they're rolling out their plan. And I heard that some of the discussions were not all public discussions. So I believe in public transparency and accountability. And I would like the meeting with Canada Post to be one that is public. And they did talk about in their email today, which was to Councillor Baker, but is shared with all, and it's part of this package too, and Councillor Baker will get to speak to that in a minute. But I did, they did talk about coming to meet with us in the fall, and I would really like council as a whole to send that invite, because I think it's important that we be proactive and address the changes to Canada Post, along with any questions our administration have, and our residents have, and our council members have. And I feel like we've started getting this ball rolling, and I think it's important that we execute this meeting.
Thanks, Sherry. Councillor Baker?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, thank you for that. So I too, at FCM, met with Andy early on, and we had some conversations because we were working on this particular file so that he would come to council to explain. And as he said today, he sent an email saying, thanks for our conversation at FCM in last week. As we discussed, they'd be happy to be setting up a meeting with you and the mayor. And I want to read this because some points have been made and some things have been said, so I need to mention this. Meeting with you and the mayor and other councillors and staff to explain the Canada Post 5-point strategy and the future direction of the delivery. As we talked about the FCM, Canada Post has seen a drop in $1.2 billion in pieces of mail over the past few years. The financial impact has been severe in the last year. Canada Post reported an operating loss of $193 million. So he goes on to explain that, but he says that he'd be happy to come, hopefully in the fall or sooner if they need to, but that they have many priorities that are doing in some of the major urban centers in terms of their plan, and that nothing will be expected in 2014. That'll happen in the municipality of Essex. But by all means, there's a whole process that they're going through with community engagement in terms of actually, we even get a chance to look at what the design for some of these community mailboxes would be with logos on them, things of that nature. They have some designs. And that, what's important to note is that where some misinformation was that the municipalities will not be responsible for removal of snow, they will not be responsible for any maintenance of this, and that they'll be consulting with municipalities for setbacks and things of that nature. So that's why it's important that we all reached out to them, but well, I can certainly support that and having a letter sent to them. But one thing I just always like to caution our council is when we're using the languages where we suggest that that the town of Essex invite representatives from Canada Post to meet with council administration. I agree, in a public manner, but it was added in a public and transparent manner. Is that suggesting that they're not transparent? The public is open, it's been open. So I would support the resolution to engage with them, but using the appropriate language. That invite them on a nice ongoing basis. I have the floor, I think, Councillor. Thank you. Can you keep some order? Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah. So I would certainly support this because we do want to talk to them. They have said they'd meet with us in the fall, but can we use language that is favorable and inviting as opposed to combative?
Anyone else? Okay. Motion to receive. There was. Okay, Councillor votes.
Actually, the request for Sherry's letter is probably a strong step, but is there some way we can put that letter of request on our town website for people to view? So they can follow it along, so they can see what we're doing? We're in this room, it's like 90 degrees in here. We're asking Canada Post to get off their backsides and do something for the people. We're going to send a letter, they're going to put it through the shredder, and there's no accountability.
If I may, Councillor folks, Andy did say they'll be here when they can or when we
Yeah,
really
when-
want to.
When's
So-
that though, right? What an escape route, like when we can. I don't, that's not acceptable, and I'd like to get something on the website, put it on the website. We should have did the same thing with Deb Matthews, from when we requested her on the smoking issue and the health concerns. She just got out the...
Councillor Bundy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm okay if the clerk wants to soften the language, as long as everybody in this room knows that I would like to have a public and transparent meeting. I think it'd just be worthwhile to put something on record, inviting them here. The plan is already beginning to roll out, and there's been no consultation. Typically, you know, when we run our municipal business, if we want a Parks and Rec master plan to roll out, we have an open house before we roll out our plan for input. And I think that that's why I'm kind of taken aback by this strategy with Canada Post. So my motion is, you know, that we just send a letter inviting them. I don't really care what the wording is. Let's just send a letter. Let's put it on record, and then we have a paper trail.
And we had a seconder. Ready for the question?
What is the motion? Is it to send a letter?
Yep.
But it's not to post it on the website? Okay, then if it's going to be posted on the website,
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Through your worship, any direction from council that is in the form of a resolution is on our website under the next committee, or our next council meeting minutes. The letter that I draft will take into account everything that is in the resolution. However, if council does want to see the letter, I can post it there if they wish, but the letter will encompass everything that is in the council resolution.
Yes, Randy?
I appreciate that. We all know everything that happens, Cheryl, through here can be found in minutes, some form or another, right? But I'm talking about something, an actual on our website, that when council introduces or requests a letter being sent formally to whoever it may be of significance, I'm not saying everybody's not significant, but when the person holds a title and we send a letter to them, then we should have a spot on our website where people can go and read and view those letters that are sent, a link that they can go to and see the letter we sent to Deb Matthews. They can see the letter, and they realize and understand what they're doing for them, because there's supposedly a lot of people follow our website, right? So if that link was there, the letter that was sent to this particular person, the letter that was sent to Deb Matthews, they can see what we're doing in these chambers, and it's not hidden in some other form. I think it's a good opportunity.
Councillor Baker?
Yeah, your worship, through you. So to the clerk, what's our, you had just explained our typical protocol when it comes to communication of our minutes, right? That does get posted on our agenda for the next meeting, and all the correspondence that relates to that will be there as well? No? How does that happen then? He's asking to have a special letter posted on the website, which means then this issue takes a different position. Is that something we're talking about now? Because if that happens, you'd want the response, you'd want a letter, then also every letter we get, or is it going to be posted on the website? I mean, we do have a format for this, right? Just like this communication came in today about happy to meet with us and be early on in terms of the process, in which the process isn't here in our region. So what are we asking? We're asking to send a letter to them. That's what we're typically doing in this motion, right? Okay.
Okay. To the motion. All in favor? Motion carries.
If I could,
Councillor Vokes.
I'd like to put a motion forward then that we develop a link to our website that whenever letters are formulated to government heads or to corporate heads on behalf of the Council of the Town of Essex, that we have a separate link that people can go and view that particular letter, and it's not hidden in minutes of meetings.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Milosh. Questions? Now, as the clerk just mentioned to me, who's she to decide which ones go on there and which ones don't go on there? She doesn't want to be the person that says, oh no, this one's not going on, that one's not going on. Comment, so.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. How would she know, right? Well, an IE being tonight, I would ask that it be posted on our link on our website, the letter from Councillor Bondi of her request for people to see. When I did the one asking Deb Matthews, I would ask that that particular letter be linked to that spot on our website for people to view. And that letter would still be there today for people to see. A letter sanctioned by council.
So maybe the recommendation would be upper tier governments, or, you know,
I think if they want it on the website, they tell me at the meeting, that letter.
oh, okay. Okay, Deputy Mayor Milosh and then Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, through your worship. I think, as Councillor Vokes was saying, council would have to give Cheryl direction that that's a letter that we want on the website.
When it
Under that
happens right
section.
here. That's
Yep.
what Cheryl
Yeah, it would
just
have to
said.
be here, and then she'd get direction from council if that letter should be up.
Good. Councillor Bowman.
I kind of disagree. I think if you're going to post letters, you have to post them all, and you'd also have to post all the responses that come back for them. I think it's very dangerous when council starts to pick and choose what they're going to put up there. And I think it's tricky waters.
Anything further? Okay. Last time around, Sherry and Randy.
Perhaps we can have senior management talk about this and what other municipalities are doing and come back with some guidelines in what other websites look like. I do think it's important too, because in a minute, my notice of motion is something that we have done 4 years ago. And I think it's important for accountability, and we can go to the residents and say, you know, we did try to lobby for this and we did try to lobby for that. And I find our agendas in minutes kind of difficult to find online, and I know what I'm looking for. So if residents, you know, want to know what we've done in terms of Canada Post, then I think it should be easier to find. So to me, I don't need to make a decision on this tonight. Maybe administration wants to talk about what works from the clerk's department and the CEO's department and what other municipalities are doing. I support the theory. I just don't know how it's going to roll out.
Okay, Councillor Vokes.
Yeah, Councillor Bowman, they would only be letters of significance. It's not going to be some letter that's going to go to some community group asking them to, you know, waive their fee for their dance. Like, it's something, again, like when I look at the Deb Matthews letter of request, people can see what we're doing for them. There's no measure, there's nothing right now in terms of a quick link where they can go to, and it's not going to be, you know, inundated with letters. I would assume at any time, like right now, that letter from Deb Matthews would be there, it would be recorded, and the response would be there. It would just show a diligence of what we're doing on behalf of taxpayers.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Number 15. Oh, you got another one. You got another one?
I'm going for a hat trick.
Okay, Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. I'd like to put a notice of motion forward for our next council meeting. This motion is actually an old motion, and I don't know the technicalities about passing this motion again. This motion came to our council the first year on council, and it actually was spearheaded by Councillor Randy Vokes. And now that we have a new provincial government, I think it's imperative that our council send another letter to the new government. And in its motion R10-12443, whereas the residents have identified escalating electricity and heating rates as a major concern. Whereas electricity and heating, like municipal water, are not a luxury items, but a basic necessity. Therefore, be resolved that council petition our province and federal partners to request that, like the current municipal water category, electricity and heating be exempt from harmonized sales tax. And further, that this motion be forwarded to AMO and FCM, requesting support for their respective members. And that this motion also be forwarded to County Council for support. Now, our council did pass this motion before. We did not hear back, but now we have a majority government. And I would like to see what their answer is with this. And I think it's a major concern with our residents. You know, we have escalating gas prices, escalating municipal taxes, and cost of living keeps going up. And we also have stagnant wages. So I'm comfortable supporting this motion, and I don't know, I'm hoping Councillor Vokes is comfortable as well, but I'd like to just open it for discussion at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bundy. Is that it, Sherry? Okay, looking for 15 adjournment. Councilor Vokes. Deputy Mayor Meloche, any questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Have a great night, everyone.